In southeastern Brazil, where the savanna and the rainforest meet, you'll find Santuario do Caraca. This monastery is known for its hiking trails, religious services, catacombs, and of course, experiences with the maned wolves. There's something here for everyone.
Everybody drives crazy. Like, I don't really think people have been driving that crazy.
No, there's been a few trucks that have been like, okay, you're an asshole truck driver.
Yeah.
But other than that, it really hasn't been anything.
But I haven't felt like in other countries where people are like flying by you.
In general, we couldn't find much information around Santuario do Caraca before coming out on this trip. One thing that we did see is apparently the drive was so crazy. Well, we just didn't experience that. It was pretty similar to driving in other countries, if not a little bit better than what we're used to. We were set to arrive around 4 in the morning, and we're really not sure if we had a reservation or not. We had spent several months prior emailing back and forth, sometimes being told, yes, you have a reservation, other times being told, no, we're full. They also didn't speak English, which is fine because they speak Portuguese, but it made it a little difficult for us to understand for sure if we had a reservation or not. We decided we were just going to give it a try anyways because we thought we probably did. Then, as we're almost about there, we find a gate. And it's locked, and we're outside of it. Personally, I'd accepted defeat at that point. I was like, all right, you guys can go to bed. I'll take the first shift on guard. As we were debating what to do, I suddenly see a man standing with a key, and I'm like, you guys, there's a guy with a key. He doesn't know what we're saying. We don't know what he's saying, but ultimately, he lets us through. After about another half hour of driving, we finally make it to the monastery. Somebody's there and lets us in, and we get a good nap, I'd call it, until we wake up in the morning. We woke up and headed out to go to breakfast. The monastery serves 3 meals a day that are included with your stay. These are some of the other guest rooms, though I never saw another guest down here. Once in a while, I might have heard a stirring, but I didn't really see many people. This was breakfast every day. Juice, eggs however you want them because you make them yourself, crepes, pastries, cakes, cheeses, meats, fruits, so much to choose from. While the showers and the toilets weren't in the rooms, they were never busy. There was never another person in there when we were in there, and it actually made it easier because we didn't have to compete for showers and we could all shower at the same time. After our showers, it was time to seize the day. This is what the Santuario looks like from the porch. This is where they'll feed the wolves later tonight. That's right, they'll feed the wolves. That was the main point in us coming to stay here. Every night, at around the same time, the employees here bring out a dish of food for the maned wolves that live in the area. I'll give you a little more information around the maned wolves and the ethical feeding practices here at the monastery later on in this story. But for now, it's time to head to our next stop, the on-site catacombs, as this monastery has been in practice since the 1770s. All right, I know. It's not like the catacombs of Paris, but hey, it's still pretty cool. I've never stayed somewhere where they have on-site catacombs in the past, so it's definitely worth checking out while you're there. There was like 2014 over this way.
There's an 1894.
Individuals have been laid to rest here as late as the 1770s to as recently as 2014. Then we stopped in for a moment to check out the church, but they were setting up for a wedding, surprisingly, so we ducked out pretty quickly. Now, this is definitely the most unique wedding venue I have ever seen in my life. Come here for the wedding and the party during the day, and the maned wolves at night. I have to admit, seeing this setup and hearing the music, I was super nervous. Is this going to scare away the wolves? When are they going to stop the music? Are the wolves still going to come tonight? I must see the wolves. We quickly enjoyed the pond and then decided to hit the trails. We are on our first hike of the day. We're hoping to maybe come across some maned wolf, some monkeys. This is not the best trail for the TT monkeys, but you know, it's nature. They could be anywhere. Spoiler alert, we didn't see any maned wolves on the trail. They're incredibly shy and elusive. So there are several different trails that go several different ways, and we'll be here for about 2 days, so we're going to go to a lot of them. These are some of the animals that we might find out here. Birds, snake, lizards, frogs, fishes, 76 mammals, including the maned wolf, a species of Ori fox. That's what they call it, right, Drew? Some skunk, jaguar, Atlantic TT monkeys, marmoset monkeys, tapir. What else, y'all?
Maybe anteaters?
Maybe anteaters. The conditions look right from what we learned. What's that, Drew?
Probably a different type of monkey too.
Yeah, more different types of monkeys. 76 species of mammals, so obviously a lot to see out here. Most hikes are on the pretty well-maintained paths. However, towards the end of this first hike, we kind of got into a rocky area. The rocky area led to a little waterfall-y / standing pool-y water area. You can swim in it if you want. The water's kind of chilly. It had some cool tadpoles in it and was a cool place to explore for a minute. After we had our fill, we went ahead and went on another hike. So as you're walking along the path, every once in a while, you see a maned wolf footprint. So we can see that they've been here. We also saw some potentially, we'll identify it when we get Wi-Fi, but some potentially maned wolf poo. There's another footprint. Here's a picture to just give you a better idea of what it looks like out here. After that, it was time to head back in for lunch. But of course, if you know us, we had to take the long way. The scenic route, if you will. So this is a little opening in the wooded area. Obviously, it's a soccer field and their helicopter landing zone because it's pretty remote where we're at right now. We made it back to the monastery and stopped for a minute at the welcome sign that we'd only seen in the dark the night before. Now, I might be saying Santuario Do Caraca wrong. If I am, don't come after me. So this is where you go to eat lunch. It's buffet style. And in here, they've got all of the food keeping warm. I'm not positive what everything is, but what a gal like me does know is there's pasta. You can enjoy your meals with a locally brewed beer as well. After lunch, we went out to go check out the maned wolf area. So this is the path that the maned wolf is supposed to come up tonight. Here's a look at the monastery that we're staying at. You can hear some music right now because there's actually a wedding going on. It's kind of neat. So those are all like rooms that people can stay in. And so the maned wolf will come up that path. It will walk up these stairs. And you can see like some stains. They put a dish here for the maned wolf to eat from. So we scoped out what we thought would be the best spot and headed back out for our afternoon hikes. We enjoyed our afternoon in the nature and came back for dinner early because of who we are as people, and we're incredibly anxious and want to make sure we don't miss anything. No pun intended, we wolfed down dinner and then rushed back out to get our seats. The sun set and we waited. And we waited. And then more people started to fill up the area, and they waited. And we waited some more. As 7:30 approaches, the wildlife experts come over and explain to the group, in Portuguese, some information around the maned wolves. I don't understand any of this, of course, as I don't speak Portuguese, and most people who visit the monastery are not English speakers. But what I can do is tell you about how this whole thing started here. So there was never an intention to turn this into a tourist destination or to feed maned wolves. Back in the 80s, the priest noticed that there was something getting into the trash every night. One night he waited up and he found, to his shock, it was a maned wolf. So, to stop them from eating trash, they decided to just put out some food for them at night. Over time, people started showing interest in the maned wolves, and it became a little bit more of an attraction. Of course, nowadays, they work with the wildlife experts to make sure that they're feeding them the right food, the correct amount of food, and they're doing it in a way that isn't negatively impacting their natural habits. They have done studies on the wolves to ensure that this practice is still ethical. Then, it was finally time to put the food out. We were instructed to remain still, to remain silent, and to keep our flashes turned off. These all made sense as to not spook the wolf or to disturb the guests around us. So we enjoyed watching the wolves come and go and eat from the dish. We actually ended up seeing 3 different wolves. 2 of the wolves were mates, and both of those wolves had GPS collars on. The collars are part of a 1-year study, and after a year's time, the collar will pop off. The biologist will then collect the collar and be able to retrieve the tracking information about the wolves. The juvenile that we saw was not wearing a collar because it's not full grown yet. So the interesting thing is, these wolves are actually quite territorial. So you might see them peeking towards the stairs every few seconds, and that's actually to keep an eye out to see if another wolf is coming, even if it's their mate or their offspring. Another interesting tidbit about their territory is another reason the priests were so shocked to see the maned wolves raiding the trash at night was because they weren't really, I'll use the term loosely, native to that area. They were native to some of the surrounding areas, but of course, miles and miles away. As they continue to lose habitat, due to humans, they're continually pushed into other areas. This is one of the areas that they've been pushed into. Also, as they continue to adapt to their new environments, they find maned wolves eating out of trash and being more of scavengers than they used to in the past. It's unfortunate, but it's a way to survive, and like most things in nature, nature finds a way. Another reason why this practice is ethical and important is because it gives a lot of local people the opportunity to see these wolves in a way that they've never seen them before. Many people see these wolves and they're scared of them. And can you blame them? So first they see this maybe prowling around their village at night, going through the trash. But then when they tell the story, the next person interprets this. And then when that person tells the story, this is a mythical being that's being shared. Then the next thing you know, the widely accepted community belief is that this is prowling around the village at night. Now, we know that's not true, but you can't blame somebody for not knowing what they don't know. So that's one of the benefits of this program is it allows people to see the wolf and to realize, okay, they're not scary, they're not after me, they're not after my kids, they're not a threat, so I don't have to harm them. I can live mutually with them because the maned wolves have never been known to attack humans. There's not one documented record, and their prey is fruit, vegetables, and small rodents. They pose no threats to humans, but if you were to see this at night and not know what it is, you would probably be spooked. So turns out the maned wolves aren't the only animals that take advantage of this free meal. There have been skunks, tapirs, and in our case, a crab-eating fox stopped in to get a taste. And as mysteriously as he arrived, he was gone. We saw him and another fox from afar, but they never came back up again. The collarless juvenile stopped by, but he was too spooked to ever come all the way up. As the night progressed, more and more people lost their patience and started to trickle out. I personally enjoyed this because the less people whispering, coughing, snorting, sneezing, laughing, etc., the least amount of people doing that, the more enjoyable the experience for me. The monastery put out drinks and popcorn for everyone, so I decided it was time to go get my snack and get a different seat. I wanted to try my luck right at the top of the stairs to see if I could see one coming up from the distance. Now picture me seeing this from the distance, dropping my popcorn, frazzled as heck. It's the collarless juvenile again, and he says, nah, I'm good. Y'all freaking me out. But then I get this. I get what I wanted. The spooky approach from under the light with the trees drizzled down. From the darkness approaches a wolf with long legs and hair raised on the back of his spine. He creeps up the stairway with his massive, ridiculous radio collar, and he looks around. He sees that he's alone, and he approaches for his share of the bowl with bananas and stuff in it, only to find pretty much it's been picked through. And then there were just us three. And the two guys that have to stay out there until we're done watching. Okay, I don't think you're appreciating just how cool your job really is. The maned wolf came back one last time and realized, yeah, there's nothing left here. He turned around and he called it a night. We checked the bowl, and then we called it a night. All right, it is a little bit before 6 a.m., and we are getting up and going on a nature walk. We're hoping to find some TT monkeys and some marmoset monkeys. But we're also following the exact trail that the maned wolf and the fox crabs, or the crab fox, the crab foxes were using. So we followed the advice to try and find the TT monkeys and went out to the trail that they're known to hang out at and sat and waited. And if you know Drew, of course, he heard some TT monkeys. And if you know Kelsey, of course, She's a little more skeptical. Well, we never did find the TT monkeys, and it wasn't for lack of trying. Believe me when I say we came back for lunch, went back out for the TT monkeys. Went on this hike, went back for the TT monkeys. Went on this hike, and before we left, we went back to try and find the TT monkeys. This hike was one of my favorite hikes. We parked at the bottom and walked up. Despite the fact that it did say you could drive it, it looked like somebody would definitely ruin their car. Then there's a space where there's a natural-esque pool where we ditched Drew, and Kelsey and I kept climbing up. We wanted to see what these viewpoints were like.
Yeah, you can go up this way.
This puts it into perspective, and you start to see just how vast this area is. And there you have it. There is the monastery, in the middle of this arid, dry forest. Then it was time to check for TT monkeys one more time and head to the airport. Staying at Santuario Do Caraca was one of the coolest experiences that I've ever had. I would highly recommend this place to anybody who wants to go off the beaten path, see maned wolves, experience nature, and just do something that you haven't done before. Of course, we went and saw other areas of Brazil as well. We spent a day in São Paulo. I know I'm saying that wrong, so I apologize. We also went to the Pantanal and did a 2.5-day boat jaguar safari and saw 11 different jaguars, capuchin monkeys, capybaras, toucans, caimans, endangered macaws, tons of other birds, tapir, endangered giant river otter, and just so much more. Sorry for all the snapping, you just don't see that every day. And what you can't see in this frame is there's a third jaguar just above them in the shrubbery. The Pantanal has the most dense population of jaguar of anywhere in the world. The other place that we visited is called Iguazu Falls. This is the largest waterfall system in the world, consisting of over 275 individual falls. We took a boat trip out to underneath one of the falls, and then we got to take a minute to just sit there and enjoy it. You can also walk around the paths and enjoy the waterfalls that way. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this taste of Brazil. If you have any questions, or if you're thinking about visiting any of these places yourself, I'm happy to talk about it. Just leave a comment and I'll get back to you.